Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my channel EdMask, the one and only channel that will give you the details of the new facts for the development facts, the results that are meant to be followed. I welcome you again. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about common reasons behind suicide, and particularly in students. To save the lives of many youth and children who are at school, and also to stop the trauma amongst the youth, I ask you to share this video to each and every parent, and then be able to stop, to reduce the number of youth students making suicide among the school. Reasons behind suicide in students, and I will take you through some data. I will let you know that there are 8,000 people who are recorded by World Health Organization who die of suicide. And then you also realize that one death happens every after 40 seconds in a day. And also you find that suicide is ranked to be the second leading cause of death, and is ranked at 79% low-income countries, including Uganda. Then you look at this prevalence rate is 10% compared to 10% of suicide compared to 6.2 HIV/AIDS. So that means there is too much death of suicide than too much death of HIV/AIDS. In that sense, I'll take you through the reasons why there is too much suicide committed between our students, our children, and our youth. One of them is forced career. As parents, we tend to force our children into forced careers, of which are not their own interest, and then find themselves stuck in their progress, and they find there is no opportunity or any interest that is forcing them to carry on that kind of course that you as a parent. The parents find themselves not having the interest to further their career, or the career that you want them to do as a parent. And then this one, because they don't want to be ashamed, because they get into anxiety and depression, to see that they want to impress you as a parent, they get stuck and get into suicide. And then there's also an issue of failure in exams. And students, when they fail their exams, they still get into anxiety and depression, and then they find themselves not having any reasons or answers to tell their parents, or maybe they could be asked why they fail the exams and they can't give appropriate answers, and they find themselves making suicide, not knowing that they're going to be losing their lives. Then thirdly, there is the issue of relationship problems. You realize that our children are going very fast and they're getting into relationships we as parents might not be able or might not be knowing, and because it's not kind of initiated on basis of love, it's just initiated on basis of passion, and you find these children, when they separate, when they push on the relationship and the relationship is not going on well, and maybe they are refused into that relationship, maybe they're not going on well into that relationship, they tend to commit suicide, thinking that they are causing pain to their loved ones or the people they have been with in relationship, not knowing that they are impacting the love, spoiling their future, and also the love that is being given to their parents who are trying to strive for their future. Then there's an issue of substance abuse. You realize that you find that many of our children have gotten into groups, there is a lot of use of substance, like using cocaine, marijuana, and then there is fuels, and then because they get into this kind of atmosphere, getting access to substances which affect their mental health, they find themselves strangling themselves and thus they make thus committing suicide. Then there's also keeping with peers. You find that because one gets into a group where there is suicidal kind of acts, then they tend to get into those groups, and then they pick up the behaviors of those people they are living with. They are influenced, and then they join. And after joining, meanwhile they find themselves getting into making suicide, not knowing that is not good. In a sense, that most of them think that they are causing pain to either their parents or their friends or colleagues, but they find themselves losing their lives. Then there's an issue of family. There's a family issue. Family issues affect our youth, affect our children. I think our argument is that make sure you settle your issues as parents, whether you adopting someone or maybe you are your parent. Make sure you settle your issues outside of the children, and if they come to know, at least make sure you you show them, you can already show them positive positive outcome from your issues than them themselves being stressed by the issues in the family. Then there's also actually the issue of family could also across. You find that most of the children, some children grow up not knowing their real fathers, not knowing their real mothers, or else they don't know who is meant to be their real family. And then because they have so many questions to ask, who is my father? Who is my mom? Why is it that my dad is not supporting me? Why is it that it's only my mom supporting me? Why is it that when I ask something from my dad, that my dad doesn't want to support me? Why is it that my dad treats my mom like this? And because they don't have answers to get to they don't have answers to get to, then themselves they decide to strangle themselves, make suicide, so that they can leave the problems that were within their families for those that created them or initiated them. Then there is an issue of academic pressure. You realize that with the pressure that comes with studies, many of our children might not be well off academically, or maybe might not be able, as parents we might not be able to support them to meet the expectations, or maybe there's too much demand at school, or maybe competition within amongst the students. And because the students are not we don't provide our children or our youth with enough equipment, with enough support, with enough guidance, and then they are not performing well in school, if these children decide to commit suicide, in a sense that they feel because they're not doing well, maybe in at school, because they're not doing their coursework, and there's no way they can get back to their parents, tell them I failed my coursework. There's no way they can tell their lecturers I have not done my coursework. Or maybe they must have used even the school fees you paid in. You gave them school fees and they didn't pay their school fees at school. And there's no way they can get back to you as a parent to tell you, Daddy, do you know what? I didn't pay my school fees. So all that comes with academic pressure. And then we have the feeling itself. There's that feeling, that urge within someone to try to try new things. So our children are trying to be too much proactive, like too much searching. They keep on searching new things to see if they can like fight through, but might not be of help. Someone to try suicide, and once they try suicide, they end up losing their life, and nobody could help them from coming such situations. There's losing loved ones. It's also another point one needs to consider, that because we've been in a life where we've lost our relatives, our friends, our girlfriends, our mothers, our fathers. We find ourselves, our friends, our close friends, we find ourselves not having enough support. You think some of you think that if my friend died, then, or maybe if my friend lost me, or if I lost my father, then that's the end of the world. So if, and in any sense, they think when you try suicide, then maybe you're going to be able to follow your father, you're going to follow your girlfriend, you're going to follow your mother, and maybe you can have another life after death. And then most of them find themselves trying suicide to make sure that they meet their lost loved ones, which is not the sense. And then also there's the issue of financial problems. Usually parents will not be able to support our children as need be. And because our children or youth tend to kind of to be strained of finances at school, like pocket money, maybe buying school materials, and if they find themselves not be able to get them, some of them find themselves struggling with themselves, asking themselves, why me? Why not other parents? Why not other students? Why could it be? Why should it be? Why should it be me? Financial problems are also affecting the youth, because they feel they should be supported, and then at some point they find themselves not being supported as need be, and in the long run decide to commit suicide because they find themselves nobody coming in to support. And maybe they might not be able to open up to their friends, might not be able to open up to their relatives, they might not be able to open up to their sisters and any other person or counselor. So they find themselves, they are just stuck. And when they are stuck, it's the only option they find themselves is committing suicide, which is not good for their life. Then you realize that there is too much excitement that comes within the youth, that comes with the youth, that comes with that youthful growth. And because the youth tend to feel they need to be searching, try anything. They try things which are find they put their lives. They try things which put their life at a standstill, and then they end up making suicide. Because there's also an issue of opportunities, because these guys, because the youth or students have found themselves into falling into many opportunities. They're underrating, they're not using the opportunities as it would be. They are abusing the opportunities that are being provided. For example, if you have access to internet, if you have access to a tab, you have access to a computer, you have access to anything that would be is of recent technology. The students are trying to abuse the opportunities that are being given to them, unlike the previous or maybe the old timers. They are using the systems, the opportunities that are being provided to them to abuse them by committing suicide, by reading which is not worth for them, by viewing videos which are not worth for them, by viewing anything that's not of worth for their life. And instead of picking the good things out of them, they end up picking the bad things out of them. And this impacts their mental health. And most of them feel they should search, they should do more, they should try and see. They want to feel, that feel makes them to make suicide. And then the newfound freedom. You realize that today there's too much freedom given to the children. There's too much rights, as if they have not been rights before. And because the students are trying to use their too much rights, the given rights, you find that these rights are being abused by the youth, and it affects their life. And it's in a sense, and they abuse their life, and in a way that they abuse them, and then they are using them in an appropriate way. And lastly, you realize that parents overlook some of these. To save the lives of many youth and children who are at school, and also to stop the trauma amongst the youth, I ask you to share this video to each and every parent, and then be able to stop, to reduce the number of youth students making suicide among a school. Thank you so much. Subscribe, share, like, and come in to view the next video next time. Part 2 will be coming in very soon. Thank you. Bye. Bye.